Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Deep Dive, Part 2 of Grim Hollow Transformations. In Part 1, we talked about the transformations of becoming an aberration with tentacles and spikes and mutations. We talked about becoming a fiend, a devilish creature that has horns and a tail and turns into a creature of hell. And we talked about the Lich, the undead, wise, ancient creature of the night. And so now in Transformations Part 2, let's dive into Grim Hollow. We have 3 transformations to talk about here. The first is the Lycanthrope. Now, Lycanthrope, as you may know, are humanoid creatures that have been bitten or perhaps cursed with the curse of lycanthropy, becoming a werewolf, or in some cases, a werebear, wereboar, wererat, and so on. For the purposes of this, I'll be talking about becoming a werewolf. So, what would happen is first you have to achieve some prerequisites. You need a minimum strength of 13 to become a lycanthrope, and then some situation needs to happen in which you get bitten or get this curse to become a lycanthrope. And you will evolve from that point on. There are milestones of how you would evolve. You would be establishing a pack of other lycanthropes, killing an alpha lycanthrope, gaining control of your animalistic urge, and unleashing the beast within and losing your humanity. Okay, so lycanthropes, that makes me think, I'm thinking underworld, I'm thinking a lot of the tropes around that, American Werewolf in London, lupine, these creatures. And when you become a werewolf, you will quickly see that you lose control. Sometimes you'll even lose your control and have to have your character sheet handed over to the DM. The werewolves, for example, if they notice any kind of weak creature or innocent creature within the scenario, you're going to have to roll a resistance check, to which, if you fail, you would end up accidentally attacking this creature and potentially killing it. So you're kind of a loose cannon full of fury. Now, when you become any of these transformations, just to clarify, you gain both all the boons and the flaw of the first level of your transformation. So you get this hybrid transformation, and that means you're going to have your humanoid form and then be able to transform into that humanoid-like werewolf with the head of a wolf. I'm thinking like altered beast, this shape of werewolf, not fully into a wolf yet, because that's something you will choose later on down the road. So here you get a description of how that works, and how under a full moon you would have to roll for resistance, otherwise you would become the werewolf. And in certain scenarios, yeah, the wolf is just going to break out, and then you've got a problem on your hands. Chaos. All right, the second boon is the Shape Changer's form. All right, you gain +2 to strength and a +1 to constitution up to 16. So if you already have over that, then that's not going to add anything onto that, but that's going to bring you up to becoming a more powerful werewolf, because you don't want to be a scrawny little whelp. You want to be a big wolf. All right. Here you get a little flavor text about what I was talking about with the helpless creatures that you would be unable to resist devouring into anything in your path when you're under the influence of this full moon and the werewolf curse. Then we go towards the flaw, lust for the hunt. Okay. And this goes on to describe how that works, the lust for the hunt here. And then we have, so those are all things you get in the initial phase of becoming a werewolf. And then at some point in your adventures, maybe around between levels 5 and 10, you could get into this transformation level 2. And this is where you'll choose one of the 3 boons, and then you're guaranteed to get the negative effect from the level. So your 3 options in level 2 are the Iron Pelt, which would make you more resistant. You will have a tougher skin and be able to be resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and other weapon types of damage here. And people are going to have to start using silvered weapons or magical source to fully damage you. So that's one option. Or you could choose this other option, the Hunter's Howl. Here you'll be able to let out a good howl in the night, and you'll be able to track down prey much easier. If you're tracking down villains or even potentially allied creatures who are lost, you'll be able to track them down much easier with this Hunter's Howl transformation. Or your third option is to get the Kindred Form. And in this form, I believe you'd be able to transform into more of like the actual animal. So if you're a bear, you could transform into a full-on bear. If you're a werewolf, you could transform into a full-on big wolf, like a dire wolf, not just a little scrappy wolf, a full-on dire wolf. And you gain the ability to speak to the other wolves in the forest and fully live and act like that animal. Okay. And here you see the clarification here of the kindred form bear and the kindred form of the wolf and all the benefits you get with that. And here's the flaw that you're guaranteed to get. You get a silver sensitivity. And so that's going to cause you to take some serious wounds from silvered weapons and to be killed by silvered weapons. So if the villains or the people you're having confrontation with find out that you're a werewolf, they might equip themselves with magical and silvered weapons. All right. We get to transformation level 3, probably between levels 10 and 15. And you get, once again, to choose between 3 potential boons, and then you're going to get a negative. The first boon is the Titanic Vigor. And here you're getting stronger, obviously. Your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to twice your character's level, and it increases by 2 every time you gain character levels. So you're becoming much more durable, and that combines well with the silver pelt. So a lot of these combine well with other forms. If you choose the path of the silver pelt, you probably want to choose the path of the Titanic Vigor, and so on. The second boon is the Predatory Leap, and that just sounds fun. That's going to allow you to, tear into combat, leap from person to person, biting into them, clawing at them, and just creating a savage bloodbath. And here you get some really nice imagery of what the werewolf is looking like there. The third option, if you didn't want to choose either of those, would be the Bestial Savagery. And here you get an AC increase by 1. Your unarmed attacks deal 1d8 slashing damage and are considered magical attacks. So we all know that regular attacks with just the hands are usually 1d4 or 1d6. If you choose this Bestial Savagery, those go up to 1d8 and will be counted as magical attacks. And you're immune to the charmed and frightened conditions. So you're just becoming a more powerful werewolf. Now, your flaw is that you're becoming you're getting these fraying memories. So your ability to remember things or to, retain information is becoming lost. You're going to black out in the middle of the night, maybe do things that you didn't want to, and then have to pay the consequences the next day. Fraying memories is the flaw at level 3. And in the final transformation, probably between levels 15 and 20, level 4, 3 boons. Once again, you pick one and out of 3, and then you have the flaw. The three are the Boon, the savage instincts. All right. You have developed an unrelenting thirst for bloodshed and carnage. While in your hybrid form, if you hit a creature with an unarmed attack and it is missing any of its hit points, the base damage die is increased to 1d12. So you're just getting much more out of your attacks if you choose the Savage Instincts. The second one is the Kindred Affinity, and you need the prerequisite of the Kindred form. So this is following that path of actually turning into the animal, turning into the direwolf or the bear. And this would allow you, when in that animal form, you can speak to people as well, not only animals. You'll be able to cast spells in your animal form, along with several other really nice benefits. So if you want to play as an actual animal, that would be the path to choose. And then the final boon option is the Unstoppable Rage. You have become a visage of unkillable carnage and slaughter, even other lycanthropes fear. So you're just becoming the ultra lycanthrope in this one. I won't get into all the details, but you can imagine what that's about. Okay. And then the flaw is you get this predatory nature. You have begun to realize the cost of your transformation. The beast within has gained more control of your body than you have. While you can control it at times, you know it cannot be controlled forever. And when it breaks free, it will delight in any slaughter it can find. You gain the following features. And so here are several of the features, including the full moon and this uncontrollable aspect of being a bear or werewolf lycanthrope. Here on the chart, you also see the level development. If you become a werewolf near those first 5 levels, you get the hybrid transformation. So actually turning into that half humanoid, half wolf or bear creature. You also get the shape changer's form, but you get the lust for the hunt as the negative. Then at level 2, you will choose one of these: Iron Pelt, Hunter's Howl, or Kindred Form. You get one of those, and then the silver sensitivity. So people are able to start damaging you with silver. At level 3, if you really wanted a second one of these, you could choose a second one here and skip these. Or you could pick one from here. So you can have one from here, one from here, one from here. Or choose one from here, skip that, choose another one from here, skip that, choose another one from here. So you can always go back and mix and match. So you'll have all different kinds of transformations. The Iron Pelt, the Hunter's Howl, the Kindred Form, the Silver Sensitivity. At level 3, you get the option of Titanic Vigor, or Predatory Leap, or Bestial Savagery, and the negative of the Fraying Memories. Okay. I really like that Predatory Leap. I can just imagine jumping from creature to creature, biting and clawing, and then hopping to another one with a bonus action and slaying. And the final stage, level 4, Savage Instincts, Kindred Affinity, Unstoppable Rage, and Predatory Nature. And that sums up the werewolf, lycanthrope, lupine-esque hero characters. And remember, you're combining this with your original race. So you could have started as a dwarf, maybe a dwarven werebear fighter, or a human werewolf barbarian. All these combinations would combine really well for an adventure. And our next transformation is the Seraph Angel. Of all the transformations, this would be one that would be a little bit more on the good side of things, and almost too good, because it will attract a lot of darkness and evil to come and try to kill you. In another section, we could explain how the land works. But if you just look down here in this province down here, the Castilian province, that's where a lot of religious zealots live, and clerics and paladins who are trying to wipe out magic. And, well, I'm sure many of them would like to become seraphs, but becoming a seraph is not an easy task. Becoming a seraph, you have to actually show that you are truly good inside and not just on a righteous crusade. And to become a seraph, you need some minimum requirements. You will need a wisdom of 13. So you can't just be an unwise zealot trying to become a seraph. And you must be noticed by the seraphs of the land. The gods have disappeared from the land, but there are arch seraphs and arch demons. And if you were playing perhaps a paladin and you defeated a powerful force of darkness, you could get noticed by an arch seraph. And then you could create a hallowed landmark for for pilgrims, kind of a safe bastion in this dangerous land of Etheris. And then you could establish a parish of worship, who uphold worshippers who uphold your virtue. And in that portion, I think I would use the Strongholds and Followers book to get an actual temple going. So you're becoming quite a leader at that stage. Later tiers of game, you establish a portal between the material plane and the Ethereum plane. And that's going to be, as you'll see, the kind of negative of being a seraph is that you're kind of bound to this Imperium plane, and it's always drawing you back. You aren't naturally supposed to be in this world of Etheris. You're supposed to be off in Imperium, but you're here staying to help fight for the good cause. And finally, you could redeem a soul that was considered beyond redemption, and that would be like the epic tier. So, transformations that will take place. You will get this boon at the first level of your transformation. You'll become a celestial form. You will increase your wisdom by 2 and your constitution by 1, no more than 16. So you're going to be wise and strong of character and body and mind. And then you get this transformational boon, Angelic Wings. So you're going to get actual physical wings, which you can hide, but which will become more and more difficult to hide as you develop your seraph form. And the flaw is that you get planar binding. So especially when you die or take lots of damage, you're going to have to make rolls to see if you get banished back into the angelic seraph realm. All right. And so you go to the transformation level 2. Here you get to choose one and the flaw. So you get divine retribution as an option, which will allow you to do 1d8 additional radiant damage for either you or your allies to strike back at enemies when in combat. Or you could pick the divine clemency, and in this way you would be able to react and heal characters or your team. Or you can get the divine expedition, this boon, that's going to allow you to just go on this crusade, go all out, and push the fight forward. The flaw is that you get the divine appearance, and this is going to cause you to burst out into this glowing angelic form with wings, as seen in the pictures here below. And that's going to happen to you automatically if you're concentrating on a spell, or you're you become unconscious, or you're entering a desecrated area of darkness. Poof, your wings are going to burst out, light will be glowing around you, and you're going to just become this beacon for undead and shadow creatures to come and attack. And or you can just choose to reveal yourself and you will show your angelic form. Here we are at levels 10 to 15, the third transformation. You can choose one of the 3, the Radiant Strike, to add this holy angelic damage to perhaps your mace or morning star or or sword that does an especially high amount of damage to fiends, fae, and undead. Or you can choose the Cleanse Affliction ability. And then when you're just casting a regular healing spell on a companion, you will also be able to essentially remove some defect they have, um, whether it be paralysis or poisoned or fatigued, one other condition in in addition to the healing they get. Or the third one is the Bow of the Celestial Judgment. And this just sounds awesome. This will allow you to go into ranged combat with a glowing seraph bow, shooting arrows. You don't need any ammunition, and it's doing loads of damage to undead and fiends and so on. And I think that's the one I'd have to pick. That just sounds awesome to be able to go into from melee to ranged combat with the angel wings blaring and doing loads of damage. And the flaw at that third level is you become a beacon to the darkness, and you're just getting more and more recognized as this angelic creature. Along with that, if anybody in your party does negative or wicked things, it kind of splotches onto you and becomes a dark stain on your character. And you get these corruption points up to a maximum of 5. And those are going to cause you to get minus that corruption to your rolls when trying to do good deeds because you've been around this corruption. So you really have to go around with a good party if you're going to be this angel. Now, the level 4 transformation, 3 options. The Hour of the Holy Purge. And you can see that there. You get one of 3 auras. So the Aura of the Holy Purge, the Aura of the Merciful Blessing, or the Aura of the Imperial Valor. And you can see those there. It's like a 20-foot aura around you that's going to be giving benefits to your allies, which is really awesome. And then the final flaw of Transformation 4, Pull of the Imperium. And that's where you're going to be suffering when you take magical damage or a lot of damage. You're going to have to make some rolls to see if you're knocked out of Etheris and into Empyrean, back up into that angelic realm. And I really love this concept for the dark horror trope, the dark horror of Etheris. I'm thinking of Diablo 3, the imagery of those angels coming down from the heavens and fighting the fiends and demons and devils, and that you get to actually participate and be one of those, choosing, well, if the seraph condition is bestowed upon you. And our final transformation. So let's take you along that journey of becoming a Seraph Angel. The Arch Seraph, one of them, would notice you and give you the boons of that +2 to wisdom and +1 to constitution in your celestial form and your angelic wings. But you would start to feel some planar binding. At level 2, you would pick one of these, the Divine Retribution, the Divine Clemency, or the Divine Expedition. And you would get Divine Appearance. So it would be very difficult to hide yourself from the rest of the world as an angel. Level 3, up around levels 10 to 15, you would get either the Radiant Strike, the Cleanse Affliction, which seems pretty sweet. You heal and also remove a negative condition from a friend, or the Bow of Celestial Judgment, which also seems awesome. Now, if I wanted to pick both of these, when I get to level 4, I could skip all of those and pick those two instead of one of those. The flaw is that you become a beacon to the darkness. So not a good idea to go in all alone to the Shadowfell as an angel, as you will be swarmed by devils and demons and all sorts of nefarious creatures. Level 4, you will get to choose one of the 3 auras, the Aura of Holy Purge, the Aura of Merciful Blessing, or the Aura of the Imperial valor. And you will feel that pull of the Empyrean drawing you away from Etheris and back into the heavens. And that concludes the Seraph. Now, our final transformation. Something very creepy, something very dangerous. And this has been around since the eons of time, as in the film I just saw, Dracula Untold, the vampire. And just look at the artwork there. He just looks so deadly. The prerequisites, you'll need a 13 dexterity. You can't be a clumsy vampire. So that's the minimum. And then what would have to happen is that you must have contracted the Sanguine curse, or you will have to have been bitten by a vampire, or offered their blood, or some sort of sanguine ritual. And I love that they use that word sanguine. That reminds me of sanguine vampire. Very nice. You're going to get abilities. And here are some of the things that would take you along your path as a vampire. You would first establish a coven of vampire spawn. Then you would drink the blood of a legendary monster. Then you would learn the great secrets of vampirism from a vampire lord. And these are in the later stages. At the very high levels, you would learn to embrace your hideous form and lose the ability to conceal it. And finally, you would discover the lost crypt of an ancient vampire and consume its essence. So just becoming a really badass vampire. What happens at level 1? You'll get both these boons. First of all, you will get the boon of Blood Fury. And Blood Fury will give your character points. These points can go up to 4 points of Blood Fury, and they will increase your abilities. They're what you use to use your abilities in combat. For example, using the Fanged Bite requires 1 Fury point, and then you can do this ability. Or you can do a Calculated Strike, also 1 Fury point. It would cost you 2 Fury points to turn into Vampiric Mist, 1 Fury point to get the Unearthly Reflexes, or 3 Fury points to become the Deathly Horror. So to get these Blood Fury points, you're going to be having to do damage in combat to creatures that can bleed, not constructs or unliving creatures, but creatures that bleed. You get a successful hit, they're bleeding, and you get a Fury point. And you can collect those as you're doing damage and then spending them on all of these different aspects, like a Fanged Bite, a Calculated Strike, puffing into Vampiric Mist, getting Unearthly Reflexes going very quickly, or just going into full Deathly Horror mode, which costs 3 Fury points there. And so you can have up to 4 Fury points and be spending them in combat. The boon here is the Undead Form. So you're starting to lose your humanity and become more dead. That's going to make you more durable. You get an increase of 2 to your dexterity and 1 to your charisma. Always up to 16. If you already are at 16, they won't go up any higher. But if you're going to become one of these transformations, you must become powerful. And here you get some good flavor text about the feeding and what it's actually like to be a vampire, the terror of it all. It's not a happy place to be, but you will in turn gain power. Here you see the vampiric teeth extending out, the hands transforming into claws. And the flaw is you get the sanguine curse here. So you're going to start having to do these things here, such as you gain dark vision up to 60 feet. That's actually a good thing. But while in sunlight, you have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. And you must feed every 7 days. So no more sunny days becoming a vampire. And then we have this boon here, Dreadnight combat training. This is at level 2, so probably levels 5 to 10. You can choose one of these 3. You can become the Dreadnight combat training. And for me, I'm imagining that Dracula. He was so powerful in combat. You're able to take different stances, such as offensive stance, and use your blood fury points to help you in offense, or you can take a defensive stance, or you can take an accuracy stance and be getting bonuses in one of those 3 ways with your blood fury points. Or you could choose the second option, which is Sanguine magic, which has the prerequisite, the ability to cast spells. So this would be a magical spell casting vampire. And here you're using your fury points to increase your spell casting abilities, as well as turning spell casting into necrotic damage as opposed to other types of damage. And the third option, if you didn't want those other 2, would be to choose the shape changer and be able to turn into a vampiric bat to be able to spy and to get away from combat and do all kinds of things you could do as a bat. There's quite a long section describing that here. Okay. And then you have the flaw. And the flaw at second level is that you show your true form as a vampire when concentrating on a spell, being knocked out, entering hollowed ground. So kind of the opposite of the Seraph. You go into a holy place, they're going to see you're a vampire there. Taking damage from or being exposed to sunlight or free-flowing water. And choosing to reveal your true form could be another option. So at stage 2, you're still able to get around town without people knowing that you're a vampire. But as we get closer to the higher stages, they're really going to start to see your Nosferatu form. Transformation level 3. Here are the 3 choices. You can get Cruel Riposte. So they swing at you, they miss, you can strike right back at them. That's showing your quick speed as a vampire. Or you could choose the Creatures of the Night. And with this one, you would be able to send your swarms of bats into combat and wipe out your opponents. Or number 3, you could choose the Captivating Glance and be able to persuade humans more easily, or beguile them, or almost enchant them. And that would be a prerequisite for the level 4 kind of ability that we're going to see here shortly. The flaw you get at level 3 is the Greater Sanguine Curse. You take 1d10 acid damage if you're in water. You do gain dark vision up to 120 feet, but you take 1d10 radiant damage when you are in sunlight. So you're becoming very sensitive, and now you must feed every 3 days. And then we have the final transformation. You could choose the Grim Executioner, which is going to make you need the prerequisite of the Dreadnight combat training. So again, making you more into that Dracula-like soldier knight of the Dark Kingdoms. Or the Beguiler's Enchantment. And the prerequisite here is to have the Captivating Glance. That's what I was talking about. So you're going to be able to charm people, get yourself out of situations, and make these meager humans do your bidding. Or the final option would be Regenerate, allowing you to regenerate damage quickly and just be undying. Look at the final form here. You're obviously in a pretty bad state, but very powerful. And the flaw, I love this flaw. You'll get a stake to the heart flaw, which means that if enemies attacking you get a critical hit and you have less than 50 hit points, you become paralyzed for 1 hour as they smash the stake through your heart. They need to be using a silvered weapon or some sort of a wooden stake. So they've come planning on killing you, you're below 50 hit points, they get the critical hit, and that's the end of the vampire. So just to review here, on becoming a vampire, you gain Blood Fury. Those are the points you gain from your attacks that you can use in combat. And you begin to have the undead vampiric form and the white skin and look more deadly. And you get the Sanguine Curse. At level 2, you choose one of these, the Dreadnight combat training to become more of a combat style vampire, or the Sanguine Magic using spell casting with your Fury points, or the Shape Changer to be able to turn into a bat. And you attain a hideous appearance. At the level 3, you get the Cruel Riposte that you can fight back on. Missed attacks, you strike back at them. Creatures of the Night, where you can send the bats after your opponents, or the Captivating Glance to be able to charm humanoids to do your bidding. And you get the what does that say upside down? The Greater Sanguine Curse, becoming weaker to sunlight and water, silvered weapons, and so on. And in your final stage, you get the Grim Executioner, becoming a true Dreadnight of a vampire, or the Beguiler's Entrancement. The Beguiler's Entrancement, to be able to really get those humans to do your bidding, or the Regenerating Ability, so you can just go back in your coffin and be 100% for the next night. And you gain the Flaw, and you're dead if you're below 50 hit points and they score a critical hit. Just look at the image here of this guy. He's a famous vampire in the world of Etheris. Would love to meet him someday. So this concludes our transformations section of Grim Hollow. Let me know in the comments below if there's any other section of the book you'd like to take a look at, do a deep dive, and I'd be happy to share it. This is my favorite book by far of all the Dungeons and Dragons books I have for 5e. It's a book, it's getting a lot of use. It's a book to have by your bedside table and just enjoy all year round and combine with your other campaigns. Right now I'm using it with the Icewind Dale campaign, as well as the Wildmount in the North campaign. It's snowy and cold here in Sweden, and we are in a Etheris, Thrall area, and Kandar. We've taken those expansions and put them in this area, and who knows, there may be a vampire lurking or a werewolf up there. So until next time, keep on playing, and we'll see you later.